Welcome to my gardening channel. I hope that you will be fine. If you want to get more videos, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you. So, let's get started. Automatic irrigation, an environmentally friendly and economic investment. Did you know that the average annual consumption of water for a garden of 100 square meters is equivalent to that consumed by 2 adults? In fact, it is estimated that the average annual consumption is 1000 liters of water per person. Therefore, choosing the right irrigation method is now considered to be both an eco-friendly and economic necessity. Furthermore, by installing an automatic irrigation system, you will be enhancing the value of your property, whether it is owned individually or collectively. Plants in better health. The majority of the plants in the soil have a constant moisture requirement. The irrigation water should, therefore, be applied evenly over the flower beds so that they grow uniformly. As far as the shrubs are concerned, they do not have the same requirements since they have to be irrigated less often but in greater amounts. Therefore, it is the professionals who will be able to adapt the methods more precisely to meet the needs of each plant. Choice of timing and frequency and the condition and lushness of the ground cover. When it is hot, the plants need even more water. However, if you water during the heat of the day, then it is certain that 60% of the water will be lost through evaporation before reaching the plant. Of course, you have to irrigate in the evening, but it also depends on the ambient heat, type of soil and plant variety. Furthermore, if you should be absent, away for the weekend, on holiday, or traveling, there is a real risk of finding everything dried out when you return. There would then be the temptation when you get back to apply too much water to compensate for the lack of irrigation and damage your plants in the process. Different systems for maximum efficiency. There are two main families of automatic irrigation systems: drip irrigation or subsurface irrigation. While the former can be adapted easily, the second one is aesthetically gratifying. What a pleasure it is to be able to admire the rainbow effects of the jet of water at the end of the day on a perfectly maintained lawn. What a joy for the children and the grown-ups to be able to walk and play on a soft and fresh carpet of greenery during a hot and balmy evening. With the micro sprinklers or porous tubes, you will use less water than you would with a spray nozzle. And above all, instead of seeing it as a chore, you will discover the pleasure of admiring the lawn being irrigated by itself, with your plants being watered unaided. A technical and professional installation. You should not improvise when equipping your garden or green space with an automatic irrigation system. In fact, for anything from digging the trenches to connecting the system to the municipal water supply or a borehole, electrical installations or irrigation controllers, only a seasoned professional can foresee and manage any problems or constraints that may arise. The carrying out of the work required, in particular the trenching or excavation, and the costs incurred, must be sustainable and well thought out. Controllers, connections, smart devices used for the benefit of the plant. The efficiency of the automatic irrigation system depends on the relevance of its programming. Nowadays, the controllers can be improved even more with the use of the smart Wi-Fi connected systems. They can prevent, for example, irrigation from being started after a storm or heavy rains, or, adversely, increase irrigation when there is a severe drought. With this new possibility of finely adapting the system to the climatic conditions, automatic irrigation has truly become a real asset for the green spaces. Optimize the irrigation process with manual techniques. Equipping your green space with an automatic irrigation system guarantees that you make full use of the precious resource that is water. However, this is not enough to ensure the healthy development of the grass, flower beds and plants. It would also be appropriate to carry out maintenance work, such as using a spike to aerate the soil or even the tedious job of weeding. It would also be useful to mulch the soil so as to protect the plants from harsh weather conditions. In any case, this maintenance work could be carried out by a professional, which would allow you to enjoy your green spaces with peace of mind. Benefits of automated irrigation systems. Automatic irrigation allows the flow of water to start and stop, or be directed to different areas, without the need for any manual effort. While irrigation is a vital part of farming, automatic irrigation has many benefits for both farmers and other landowners. Here's what you need to know. Save money. Automatic irrigation saves you time. Therefore, you also save money. Depending on the number of pumps you have and the number of hours you need to water, you can also save money on your water and power bills. As there isn't a need to inspect pump sites as often in a vehicle, you will likely use less fuel and suffer less wear and tear expenses. Less manual labor. With an automated irrigation system, you can monitor and control almost all aspects of irrigation. For example, at the touch of a button you can do things like turn pumps on and off, cut off the flow from one area and direct it to a different area, keep an eye on pivots, sprinklers, and control all types of diesel and electric motors. Even if you don't have power, your system can be set up using solar. Improved water efficiency. The layout of an irrigation system needs to be properly planned so your plants and crops receive the right amount of water at the right time. Provided your irrigation system is installed and set up by a professional, any underwatering and overwatering issues will be eliminated. This is beneficial to the crops and plants, as well as your water bill. Are automated irrigation systems worth it? Whatever type of automatic irrigation system you go for, time does need to be invested in the initial setup and in ongoing maintenance to ensure your system works properly and keeps running efficiently. You also need to factor in the cost to purchase the system and ongoing maintenance expenses before deciding whether an automatic system is financially. Many people consider having an automatic irrigation system, or sprinklers, installed to water their lawns for a few simple reasons. First, sprinklers prevent having to carry garden hoses around. An irrigation system will also prevent kinks in hoses and won't get caught under car tires or on other items in the yard. But there are other reasons to make the switch to an automatic irrigation system. Pros and cons of sprinklers. Automatic irrigation systems are convenient, especially for those who travel. The main disadvantage is that, initially, they cost more than the alternative. But, if installed and programmed properly, a lawn irrigation system can save you money in the long term and help you conserve water. If your lawn or flower die, they need to be replaced, and that can be expensive. If automation can save you this expense, it will be worth the investment. The pros of having sprinklers installed can go beyond saving money on replacing flowers. Watering with a hose or with an oscillator wastes water. Neither method targets plant roots with any significant degree of precision. Automatic irrigation systems can be programmed to discharge more precise amounts of water in a targeted area, which promotes water conservation. Equipment. You need 4 basic components make up a sprinkler system: the timer or controller, irrigation valves, underground piping, and sprinkler heads. What are the best sprinkler heads to use? Consider how the factors of topography and lawn size come into play in selecting a type of sprinkler head. Let's take a closer look at the 2 common types of lawn sprinkler heads: spray or fixed spray heads. Spray sprinkler heads are sometimes designed to pop up out of the ground when the sprinkler system is activated, while others rest on pipes that remain above ground at all times. Spray heads discharge a large volume of water in a relatively short amount of time, giving them a high application rate. For this reason, sprinkler systems with spray heads are most suitable for even surfaces, not slopes. If you do have to use a spray head on a slope, program your sprinkler system such that water is discharged over several shorter periods. This will help you avoid wasteful runoff. Rotor heads. By contrast, the rotor-type sprinkler heads have a lower application rate, so they are simpler to use on slopes. Rotor heads also apply water more uniformly than do spray heads, making them more suitable for watering larger areas. For people who wish to irrigate large areas of lawn, sprinkler systems with rotor heads would be a logical choice. Why types of sprinklers matter in lawn irrigation? Whether you use spray head sprinklers or rotor head sprinklers for a particular area in your lawn irrigation does matter, because of the difference in application rates. Above all, be consistent in the types of sprinklers you use, that is, spray head or rotor head, within specific areas. Mixing head types within the same area leads to over-irrigation of some parts of your lawn just to get adequate amounts of irrigation to other parts. The goal of lawn irrigation is to target water distribution as precisely as the system allows. What to use for gardens? If, instead of watering a lawn, your concern is watering a vegetable garden, flower border, or some other type of planting bed, your needs will be best served by installing a drip irrigation system. Such a system is more efficient in these cases than other watering methods because it allows you to target the root zones of the plants themselves, rather than arbitrarily spraying water around. Sure, you can stand there with a garden hose and water each individual plant, but that is not a very efficient use of your time. Drip irrigation systems and water conservation. Drip irrigation systems, at the most basic level, are constituted of a series of tubes that have holes opened along them at intervals. The location of the open holes is tailored so as to irrigate most efficiently the specific garden beds in which drip irrigation systems will be buried, promoting water conservation. If you have a bed in which perennials are spaced at 2-foot intervals, then there will be corresponding holes in the tubing at 2-foot intervals, through which water will be discharged. You don't waste any water with drip irrigation systems because you're not watering the intervening area between plants. The dripping occurs only where the plants are stationed. Sprinklers, in contrast with drip irrigation systems, spray water into the air first, before it ever reaches the ground. Wind can carry airborne water away, distributing it elsewhere than where it was intended to go, an inefficiency not conducive to water conservation. Drip irrigation systems preclude this unnecessary water loss by taking the water right to the roots. Drip irrigation systems are often installed in areas in which flowers or shrubs are growing, that is, individual elements with spaces between them, as opposed to a lawn. Drip irrigation systems allow you to target plant roots even more precisely than do sprinklers, resulting in better plant health and better water conservation. Irrigation zones, so-called irrigation zones, are an element of landscape irrigation design that allows you to target water distribution with precision, thus cutting down on waste and saving you money. The premise behind the concept of irrigation zones is simple enough. Before you install your system, you need to decide that area A of your land should get X amount of water, while area B should receive Y amount, etc. Once you have irrigation zones established, you will then program your system accordingly. This is one of the virtues of automatic irrigation systems. You can target water distribution more precisely than by manual watering or by using oscillators. The demarcation of landscape irrigation zones is an issue to consider when planting well before irrigation design itself. Establish separate beds for your plants according to how much water they need. If plants with similar watering needs are planted together, you'll conserve water. You'll also promote plant health by ensuring that one plant isn't overwatered on account of one of its thirstier neighbors. This planting strategy is sometimes referred to as xeriscaping. Drought-tolerant shrubs will inhabit one landscape irrigation zone, drought-intolerant perennials another, and so on. The lawn is a landscape irrigation zone all by itself. An area with southern exposure requires more watering than one with northern exposure. Rain sensors. Plants get thirstier in summer than during spring and fall, so program your irrigation timer accordingly, rather than always keeping the irrigation timer on the same setting. This will promote water conservation, as will watering at the right time of day and overriding irrigation timers with rain sensors. The time of day when you irrigate is a factor in water conservation. If you program irrigation timers to go on early in the morning, you'll lose less water to evaporation than if you were to irrigate in the heat of the day. For optimal water conservation, it will be necessary to override the irrigation timer of your automatic system if your area receives heavy rains the night before your system is programmed to run. You'd only be pushing up your water bill unnecessarily. If you'd rather not have to bother overriding your system manually in such cases, install a rain sensor on your roof. Rain sensors can be tied into automatic systems, shutting them off for you after a period of rain. Soil type. Soil type affects how you irrigate your lawn. Read more to learn about soil types and how to figure out which type you have. Should you DIY your sprinkler system? Installation of sprinkler systems should be handled by professionals unless you are good at making complex calculations. If you do decide on a do-it-yourself sprinkler installation, acquaint yourself first with whatever inspection codes for irrigation your town may have. Installing a drip irrigation system, on the other hand, is easy enough to be considered a do-it-yourself landscaping project. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.